Hi everybody, welcome back to Small Caliber Arms Review. I'm Richard. Today we're going to do a continuation of another leather project. This is for the 1858 New Model Army holster I made with the little fringed holster there with the tassels on it. I got to have a belt for this thing to go on. And not only do I have to have a belt, but I have to have a sheath too for a knife. And I picked up one of these. This is just a very inexpensive Uncle Henry fixed blade knife. It comes in a little set with a shot glass and a couple other little folding knives. But we're going to get this thing put together. I'm not going to put any fringe on the belt because you just can't have that. But I will be having the same pattern all the way around the border of it. I'm going to put bullet loops on it. And I think for the knife, the sheath I'm going to make is going to be kind of a cross draw, maybe on the right hand side but facing backwards so you can grab the handle and pull it outward like that. We'll just kind of see what happens when I put it together. It did come with a sheath, but a nylon sheath just is not going to look right on a holster and a belt like this with the Frontier jacket, fringe jacket, so can't do that. Got to make this thing all look like it belongs together from maybe the same time period-ish, esque, whatever. But let's get this thing started and get it put together. Okay, so here's a closer look at the little Uncle Henry set, kit, whatever, just a little gift pack. There's the knife. I've already had it out. It's got the little plastic tip protectors on it there. There's the two folding knives and the little shot glass, so I may make use of that shot glass after doing all the stitching that I've got to do on this thing, because this belt is going to be stitched all the way around. We'll go ahead and put that in there because the first thing I'm going to work on is the belt. There's the sheath that came with it, and like I said, we can't use nylon for that. I've got my belt blank cut out, so I'm going to have to lay out a bunch of stuff. I'm going to have to lay out the end for the buckle. I've got an 1.5 inch buckle right here, a brass one. You'll see it's a little bit wider than the belt there, so it's not quite going to fit in there, so I've got to narrow that down. I made the belt 1.75 inches. I was going to make it 2 inch, but I had a little trouble getting a 2 inch belt through there. It's okay, 1.5 inches will be, or 1.75 inches will be just fine. 1.5 inches would be fine too, which is your standard modern belts. A lot of the gun belts back in the day were made a lot wider, some of them up to 3 inches wide. And we're going to be sewing bullet loops on this thing too, which I sew them on. A lot of people will cut the oval slots in there and then do the lacing the bullet loops through there. I don't like that. I don't think it's traditional. I'm not 100% sure, but most of the ones I've seen have been sewn on, and all of the ones I've done in the past have been sewn on. So I need to get this whittled away for the buckle, and then I need to get the other end whittled down so it'll go through the buckle with the adjustment holes in it, and I usually space those 1 inch apart. Now the length of this is just a little bit longer than my Outlaw Josie Wales belt, which I designed to go wear like he wore it in the movie, which was over top of his coat. So this one's going to be the same. It does have the printing on the back of it from where they sized it. It doesn't matter because I am going to put a suede lining on the back of it, but I got to do all the other stuff before I put the suede on there so that the suede will cover up the bullet loop stitching and a lot of other little imperfections, especially things like that, and this fuzziness on the belt itself. All right, what I did there was skive the leather down a little bit, thinned it a little bit right there where it's going to fold over. That makes it fold a little easier and reduces some of that bulk there. Now I will wet it down a little bit, which will make it bend a lot easier without cracking, or minimize the cracking anyways. Now I'm not going to make a keeper for this one because this belt already has pretty much a keeper right on it. Okay, now I'm not going to set my rivets just yet, but one of the things I want to let you know, these are a double cap rivet and a tubular rivet, and they kind of just pop together. So they're easy to, if you want to temporarily hook something up just to see how it fits, you can pop them right back apart. But once they're crushed, then they got to be cut off. And one of the things you definitely want to do is you do not want to cut a hole that's too big for the rivet, because that will cause you some problems when you go to set them. So you want a punch that is going to be just about the right size for the rivet, almost the same size as the post. Now this will open it up a little bit more than that, so I may go with one size smaller. Yeah, that should be just about right for it. I can always go a little bit bigger. It's a little difficult to go bigger than those, but once you've already punched a hole in it. But I am going to go with this size right here. All right, that'll make it a little easier for me to figure out the other end where I need to punch my holes in it. Okay, so with just a little trial fit, I've figured out that I need to go 7 inches for my billet end of the belt. So I'm gonna go a little bit farther. I'm gonna go 8. All right, now I just got to figure out where to punch the holes at. And then I got to do a fancy end on there. Okay, now that I've got it established where my center hole is going to be, the thing I want to do now is I want to go 1 inch each direction. So I'm going to punch my center hole in there first, and then I'm going to try it on. With just the one hole in it. And then usually what I like to do is punch 5 holes in there. The one where it's the most comfortable, and then 2 in each direction in case I, wear extra clothes or put on a couple more pounds or lose a couple more pounds. Okay, so after trying it on, I figured out that that one is just a little bit loose. So instead of going 2 this way, I'm gonna go 3 this way and only 1 this way. So it'll give me my 5 holes I want in there. I've still got room to do extras if I want to, but I think that that'll work just right. Now it is going to have a lining of suede on the back of it, so that will actually make it just a little bit thicker, so it'll fit a little bit tighter. What the heck, let's go ahead and put 6 holes in this thing. A couple of things I got to figure out here before I put everything together is the bullet loops. Now I'm only going to put 12 on there. This is my template from the Gambler belt for the stitching for the bullet loops, and then this is the piece for the loops themselves, and I've got each of the holes marked out on there, and then all the holes marked out there for the stitching, which is, it's a lot of stitching, but I'm only going to do 12 of them, so it's not that bad. It's still not a whole lot of fun. Now this being a cross draw, the holster will actually be worn on the left side of the belt, kind of in the front there. So I cannot stitch all these on here and then get my holster on there if I set the buckle. So now there's a lot of things I got to do. I got to do all my grooves on here for the stitching grooves, and I got to do for the design on there, and then I'm going to punch these out and everything. So I'm going to take these rivets out, and like I said, luckily these are just a little snap-in piece here, which is great because I can fit everything up and know that it's going to work, and then go back later and put it on. I could put Chicago screws in there, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and assemble everything, get everything done, and this will be the last thing I do is put the actual buckle on there, because I don't have any brass Chicago screws, but I do have these brass rivets here. So I'm going to go ahead and get my stitch groove established on there, and I'm going to keep the same design that's on here. This is a veiner and a camouflage tool, and I think, yeah, I had to switch up sizes a little bit, but with the belt it shouldn't be an issue. I can start at one end, work all the way towards the buckle, and then everything should work out evenly. And one of the things I like to do when I'm doing my stitch groove on there is do not bevel the edge first, because the way this tool works, it fits up against the edge there, and if you round that off, then you'll tend to slip a little bit. So I want to avoid that. All right, I'm going to use the Phoebing's light brown pro dye. It's the same dye I used on the holster itself. And I got my little patch of wool here. And we'll get it wiped down. All right, we're gonna let that dry. All right, the belt got a little bath in the sunlight and it's pretty darn dry now. I have got to start punching some holes in this thing all the way around it. And I gotta punch my holes in here, and then I gotta punch the holes for the bullet loops on the back of the belt. So I'm gonna get my stone and my punching board over here and get to going. And that actually fits in there pretty good right there. Not too tight and not too loose either. So I don't have to do a lot of stretching. I have had these where I've had to really force them in there because I used too thick a leather on my bullet loop there. Now even if it does get a little bit loose, it shouldn't come through because there's a rim on there. So I'm happy with that, and I'm gonna get to sewing some more. And there they are, 12 bullet loops. And it didn't curl the belt too much. Now that I've got these established where they need to be, just to make sure I would not have mismatched my holes there, now I can go ahead and punch those, and I can actually set those rivets in there, because the next thing is to punch, well, take all the rounds out, punch all the stitching holes all the way around it, and get the suede sewed on the back of it. And there it is. It is a cross draw. It's got the fringe on it. Should look good with the jacket. I did leave a little bit of extra holes in there so I can wear it over the jacket, I hope anyways. Right now I do not have it very tight, so it's got a little more room to move on there. I'm not a huge fan of the cross draw holster, but it works. Yep, I kind of like it. And like I said, there's one more thing we got to do in this video. I'm going to put a knife holster on a knife sheath on the right side there, and also it'll be canted forward a little bit so I can pull it out moving forward like that instead of pulling up. Just pull it out forward. Let's get busy on that. All right, everybody, here it is the next weekend, and there's been a little change of plans. I am still going to do a knife sheath, but instead of using the Uncle Henry one, I thought I'd find something a little more, well, something a little more period correct, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. This is, I picked this up on eBay. It is not an expensive knife. I can't even remember who I got it from, but I'll probably put a link in the description, or at least something in the description. And it did come with a knife sheath, but it's just, I don't like that knife sheath. It functions, it hooks on the belt, but I'm going to make one to match the holster and the belt and the jacket and everything. But I'm going to make it kind of the same way. This has a welt all the way around it. But I'm going to make it so that the knife is pulled out on my right side. It'll be held like this in the holster. So it'll, you know, kind of swoop that way. The fringe will be hanging down from there. So when you grab it to pull it out of the sheath, you'll pull it out right-handed like that, and you'll have it in your grip like this, kind of like, I guess, a fighting knife. This is just a hunting style knife, I guess. It is Damascus, as close as you can get to Damascus, because the actual formula for Damascus steel has not been in existence for a long time, but it's that style. It seems to be a pretty well made knife. It does have actual antler material on the handle, where the Uncle Henry is a they call it Stagalon, which is a plastic that looks like, you know, stag horn or whatever. A little bit of stacked leather in there. Looks like little brass rings in between and stuff. It could be a little, I guess, more well refined. But anyways, let's get to making a knife sheath for this thing. Okay, so I'm going to start off on this side of the paper here a little bit because I know I'm going to have to do some stuff with the back part of it anyways. With the front part of it, let's trace just kind of around the blade. See if I can do this without cutting my pencil. And that is really close, which is not, I guess it'll be all right. Then we'll go around the handle here a little bit to kind of give me an idea of where everything is going to be. Okay, that may look a little odd for a knife sheath, but I think that is going to give me what I want. I will have to cut out a front piece, which will go just as high as the welts, and that's it. And this will be the back piece here. So yeah, I think it's good. And I will have to want to even these up a little bit. And there'll be a lot of cutting and all that good stuff. So I'm going to get it traced onto other pieces of paper and then go from there. Okay, there it is, my very first knife sheath I made to match the holster and the belt, and I don't think it looks too bad. There's probably a lot of other things I could have done, but I got the fringe on there. Maybe I could have made the fringe just a little bit longer, but I wanted to keep it kind of to scale there, but I think it's a little bit shorter than the fringe I've got on the holster. But like I said, that's my first knife sheath. I did get the edges slicked up some. Come out pretty good. Not my best work, but and I'm not too worried about the stitching right there. It doesn't seem like I'll have any problems running the blade across it. I did not put a snap or the Sam Brown button or anything on there, so right now it's just friction fit, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Probably not, but I guess later on, sort of like the sheath that came with it, this was like not really an afterthought, but it was added on afterwards, and I could probably still do that same thing here, but I'm gonna leave it like that for right now and slide it on the belt and see how it looks. All right, everybody, here it is, the whole fringed suede get up. I've got the jacket on, I've got the holster for the Remington New Model Army, and now I've got the belt and the knife sheath to make the whole matching set. I might do some moccasins later on, who knows. But the belt is up pretty long. It's got plenty of adjustment on it to go either over the coat or jacket or underneath it, but underneath it makes it a little harder to get to because you really have to open it up. And if you've got it buttoned, these are antler buttons on here. I did make those myself from some sheds I found out here on the farm, and they're kind of difficult to get opened and closed, but they work and they look sort of period correct, I guess. I did put 12 bullet loops on the back of the belt right there. They are set up for 45 Colt, which the Remington 1858 I've got here is 45 Colt conversion. And it's, I enjoy doing this. I enjoy making these projects. I enjoy showing you guys these projects, and I hope you enjoy them too. I have not been doing this very long, and it's just such a fun hobby, I guess, that I really wish I would have picked it up many years ago because it is thoroughly enjoyable. Anyways, if you could reach up here and hit this button to check out some of my other videos, hit this button down here to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'm going to enjoy what little bit of bourbon I got left in this bottle. Thanks for watching.